Hey everybody, Simistic here again to talk to you about what I bought and what I watched today. Today I ran out to one of my local thrift stores, picked myself up 2 new Disney titles, and here they are. The first title I picked up was a complete blind buy, and that was King of the Grizzlies. But as I said many times before, I absolutely love Disney titles from the 1960s and the 1970s. This one being from 1970. Really looking forward to checking this one out. I'm sure it'll be great. And the last that I picked up was also a blind buy, this one being from 1997, and that was Oliver Twist. Now, as I said, it's a complete blind buy. I know nothing about it, but I thought it looked interesting, and it is a Disney title, so figured I'd pick it up. So that's it for what I bought today, so now it's what I watched. And the first title I checked out was Sucker Punch. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a great mix of sci-fi, action, fantasy. It was definitely a good popcorn flick, but that's all I'd pretty much say it was, just a popcorn movie. I wouldn't say it's anything special, I wouldn't say it's anything above and beyond, just a good popcorn film, a lot of great action. I did enjoy it though. Now, before I saw this movie, I asked people what they thought of it, and a lot of people were either saying they were either completely confused by it, or they really enjoyed it. And I don't understand necessarily why people were so confused by it. I mean, there was a lot going on. It was, fantasies within dreams, within, the real life, and what happened within, the actual real life sort of, happened within the dream. And, there was I guess it could be confusing, but as long as you were paying attention, I don't really understand why people were confused. Because at the end of the movie, when everything all panned out, I was like, oh, now I get it. Now I see what was going on. So during the movie, there was a little bit of, okay, where's this going? What's, actually happening here? But in the end, it all made sense. So I don't really understand why people are so confused by it. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'd say the only downfall, maybe some of it was a bit repetitive, because within the dream there's these fantasies and they had to collect items because they're trying to escape from, it's basically a brothel for runaways. They're trying to escape from it, so they had to collect some pieces like a key and a map and all this stuff. And the girl goes into this sort of like dance state sort of fantasy thing, and during her little dance routine, she's having this fantasy, and in the fantasy they're collecting the pieces, but it's these great big kind of epic action scene fantasies, and they're really cool. That's what makes the movie pretty cool, is the epic fantasy scenes. But after about the second one, you're like, okay, here's another. The story's like, just it gets repetitive. And you're like, okay, here's another fantasy scene. All right, we get it. But on the plus side, the action scenes are so good and so well done and a lot of fun to watch that you kind of go, okay, here's another one, and then immediately you kind of forget that you're just, the story is getting repetitive because you're wrapped up in this cool action scene. So maybe a bit repetitive at times, but the action made up for it. It was a good movie. And fellas, and I guess some ladies, plenty of eye candy, I gotta say. This is definitely an eye candy movie, so you had that going for it. So I would definitely recommend it. It was a fun movie. Again, I wouldn't say anything necessarily over the top and special, but if you like great action scenes, and the story, like I said, it wasn't anything special above and beyond, but the story was really good, and I did enjoy it. I would recommend paying attention to the movie, because at the end, then you might be confused if you're not completely paying attention to it, because, again, there is a lot going on, but I'd recommend it. Great action flick. Definitely check this one out. And the last time I watched tonight was The Boys, the Sherman Brothers story. Another great Disney documentary. This was fantastic. And as I said when I bought this movie, if you don't know who the Sherman Brothers are, shame on you. You really should. But I do guarantee you probably do know who they are. You just don't recognize what songs they've written. I recommend Wikipediaing them. Check out the songs they've written. I guarantee you know probably most of them. They've written some of the greatest songs for some of the greatest movies. And this was a great watch. I learned a lot about them. I didn't really know much about the Sherman Brothers. I mean, I knew what songs they've written for what movies. I knew who they were. I knew a little bit about them, but I didn't really know their whole backstory. And it was a lot of fun learning about them. I even learned about some movies that I didn't even realize they had written the music for, which was pretty cool. It was neat to find that out. So I would definitely recommend checking this out. It was a fantastic documentary. It is a little sad at the end. They, not to give anything away, but the Sherman Brothers, they kind of had a falling out. They started to not get along so well, and they don't really talk much anymore. I think even still to this day, from what I gather from this, and I even did a little bit of research after I watched this on what they were up to now, because this is from, I believe, 2009, so I was kind of wondering what's happened in the last few years. Apparently, they're still not really talking all that much, which is definitely a shame. I mean, my brother and I, we're not the best of friends, but we get along. We don't necessarily hang out or anything like that. We're not super buddies, but I can't imagine ever not really talking to my brother. I mean, we call each other every now and then. We talk every now and then, and that's good enough for me. I definitely want to stay in contact with them. I just can't imagine really having a falling out and just only really seeing them at, you know, events or something like that. It's kind of a shame. It's really sad that they had a falling out. You know, it's definitely it was definitely really sad. But still, it was a great documentary. If you love just great classic, just cinematic music, if you love the great music from, you know, movies like Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and stuff like that, which they wrote the music for, you're definitely going to want to check this out. It was a great story. I would highly recommend it. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen. I will be watching this one again. Definitely check this one out. So that's it for what I bought when I watched today. Definitely looking forward to watching my 2 new Disney titles. Those should be great. Also watching Sucker Punch. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was a good movie. You know, not saying anything above and beyond or anything special, but definitely a good action popcorn flick. I'd highly recommend it. Also, The Boys, one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Definitely be watching that one again very soon. Highly recommend that movie. It was fantastic. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to see what I bought and what I watch tomorrow. And have a great New Year. See ya.